Cowboys Pregame Live is brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, and by SWBC Mortgage. Join the more than 120,000 customers that we've helped to find their happier way home. Visit swbcmortgage.com to find a pro today.
Week number 11 of the NFL season is upon us. The Dallas Cowboys taking on the Washington Commanders. Northwest Stadium in Landover, Maryland. Once was known as FedEx Field. Now the Cowboys have shipped off Dan Quinn to the Washington Commanders, and he leads a charge against the Cowboys going into Week 12 of the NFL season. Welcome into Cowboys Pregame Live, presented by WinStar World Casino and Resort. Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Glad you are with us. The Cowboys currently on a 5-game skid. Gentlemen, it's the longest losing streak since 2015. The Cowboys looking to get back on track and do so within the division. The last time the Cowboys won, guys, it was October 6th against the Steelers on the road, a nitty-gritty win. Could we see something like that again today?
Yeah, I believe you can see something like that once again today. But to me, to get off of this losing streak, it's going to come down to the players. They've got to show up. The stars, the playmakers have got to show up. Micah Parsons, he's got to be a force off of that edge. Overshown, he's got to be able to show that sideline tackling machine ability. You got Bland on the outside as well. He's got to be opportunistic on the outside. And CeeDee Lamb, there's no excuses. Double team, triple team. I know Dak Prescott isn't there, but you've got to find a way to make an impact in this game.
See, the good thing about slip and slides is they always come to an end. So we need the Washington Commanders to be the end of that slip and slide for the Dallas Cowboys. They have to find a way, like my boy BC said, to find a victory. And the way in which you do that is by having some grit. You got to have some grit. You got to have some heart. At the end of the day, regardless of how your season's going, you are standing up there as a man going against another man, and you cannot allow him to win his matchup. You got to win yours. And collectively, when you come together as a unit, you can go out there and do some great things.
The key to beating Dan Quinn is simple. 40 runs, 32 minutes of time possession, and 150-plus yards. That is the key to beating his head in today.
Hey, wow, yeah, that's impressive. I like it.
I like it. Off the rope.
Going back to your slip and slide, man, a lot of times at the end of a slip and slide, you can get hurt. You can kind of go off the edge. It might hurt a little bit, but it's at the end. You're done. You got some grass. You got some
grass. It's all about the dismount, Kyle.
It's all
you go for the slip and slide, you pop up on your feet. You know what I'm saying?
Ready
Fix
to
your shorts,
roll.
and you good to go.
Fix it, good to go. Cowboys looking to fix things on the offensive side of the football. Cooper Rush has been the starter over the last 2 weeks since Dak Prescott was out for the rest of the year due to a hamstring injury. Here are his numbers from the time as a starter in 2022, filling in for Dak, and in 2024, filling in for Dak Prescott. Much different situation, but the numbers really don't look that different whenever you look at them side by side. That is not the case whenever it comes to Game 1 and Game 2 as a starter here in 2024. Against the Eagles, just 45 passing yards. He had 354 yards through the air against the Texans, but for the most part, this is a Cowboys team that has struggled to finish drives all year long. How do they find their way into the end zone? Because they had the production last week, but they still didn't have the points.
Look, overall, I still believe Cooper Rush gives this team the best opportunity to win games. And that's exactly what this coaching staff and this team needs. They need a win in the worst way to get the momentum going back for this season. But they've got to change that game plan from what they had last week. Throwing the ball 55 times is not a recipe for success. You don't have the offensive line to hold up, and you don't have the skill position or players on the outside to be able to get off of feet of 55 passing attempts in one game. So to me, you got to have some type of balance. And I don't care if it's 2.5 rushes per carry or 2 yards per carry, whatever the case may be. You got to have some type of balance out there, and you've got to find a way to win the turnover battle. This team is not good enough overall to come over those mistakes. It's about losing the turnover battle. So to me, they've got to find some type of balance offensively.
Well, since I already said slip and slide, let's go ahead and say that you got to have some splash plays. Because you need guys like Devontae Turpin, you need guys like Deuce Vaughn to go out there and be those big play guys for you. It gets really discouraging when you're trying to run your head up against the wall of a defensive line when your running game's not effective. It gets really discouraging when you're dropping back 55 times as a quarterback and half of them are doggone incompletions. situations. It gets really hard for you to go out there and do your job that way, so you need something that gives you some hope to say eventually we're going to break this thing wide open and it's going to keep us in the game.
And, of course, it's not necessarily encouraging whenever you have a turnover differential that is as what it is for the Cowboys right now. Minus 11 in the turnover differential, whereas the Commanders are a team that does not give the football up very much. They are tied for the league lead in the fewest turnovers this year, whereas the Cowboys, those 20 turnovers have really hurt Dallas throughout the year. Which one gives the most advantage in a matchup like this? A team that doesn't necessarily take the ball away, or one that's giving it up like the Cowboys do?
It's just bad for the Cowboys when you're just giving the ball away like that. You got to make plays. You got to be safe with the ball. Take 15 of those passing plays and turn them into run plays and just play a safer game, a brand of football.
Yeah, what you got to do offensively is you got to take care of the football. And defensively, you get one of those guys back that can take the football away from the other team, and I'm talking about Bland on the outside. He's going to be huge for this team going forward. I'm sure we'll talk about him later, but this team has got to find a way to win the turnover battle. It's simple. Every coach on every single level, from high school all the way up to the pros, will tell you, you lose the turnover battle, you lose the game.
And that's exactly what the Cowboys are trying to avoid this week in Landover, Maryland. It's now Northwest Stadium. The Cowboys making the trip out there. Who's in, who's out for the Cowboys this week? It is a busy week for inactives and actives. We'll catch up with Nick Eatman on the sidelines as we get set for Cowboys and Commanders kickoff coming up at noon.
Yeah, it's always when you go up against familiar opponents and coaches, they know you, you know them. It's kind of a fun scheme battle and things like that. Obviously, a lot of familiarity on both sides.
And that extends to the players, obviously. Dante Fowler, he's having a great season for them. Dorrance Armstrong and those kinds of guys. What would it feel like lining up against your former teammates like that?
Yeah, lined up all those years on the scout team when they couldn't hit me, and now they can. But those are great guys. You got a bunch of former teammates over there, and so it'll be fun competing, and we got to control them. They're good players, and not let them dictate the game.
How much do you? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, how much do you draw on that scout team experience? Just or how much do you try not to rely on it? I guess in terms of what you're seeing on film too.
Yeah, you kind of just go out based on what you see on film, and they are who they are. It's we're familiar with their scheme a little bit, and they'll have wrinkles. That's what they do, and they do a good job of mixing it up. It's just good defense. Everywhere Coach Quinn's been, and Joe Witt, they've produced.
Yeah, one week at a time. I think anytime you're struggling on paper, I think we kind of take a look at ourselves each and every week, know what we can do to get better and continue to move on. And I don't think this team don't got any quit in it. So for us, it's taking it 1 week at a time and going out there confident, each and every day, especially every Sunday, and find a way to win.
This segment is brought to you by Ashley, the official furniture store of the Dallas Cowboys.
Cowboys and the Commanders. Welcome back into Cowboys Pregame Live, presented by WinStar World Casino and Resort. Barry Church, Nate Newton, Isaiah Stanback, I'm Kyle Yeomans. All right, the Cowboys do get some reinforcements back this week. It's a little give and take in terms of the Cowboys' active list, but I'll start with you, Barry, because Deron Bland, the All-Pro from a year ago, historic season, he is back in the fold this week. What type of jolt does that bring to this defense?
It could bring everything, both secondary-wise and defensive line-wise. But anytime you can bring an all-pro player back into the lineup, it's a positive. And what he brings to the table is something that this Dallas Cowboys defense has needed, at the top of the order, and that's taking the football away. This guy's a proven ball hawk out there, and not only will he help that secondary, but the defensive line, it'll give him an extra tick, an extra second to get to the quarterback back there, because the quarterback just can't look back and say, oh, you know what, I'm going to go this way with it. They got to be aware of what Bland brings to the table out there, and I'll give that defensive line an extra time to hunt. So bringing Bland back is an extreme positive for this defense.
Let him hunt with caution. I want him to get maybe 25 or less snaps. I don't need to see him out there every down, because I want him to stay fresh so he can continue to be that ball hawk.
9 interceptions last year. That's what you've been missing on the field all year, is 9 interceptions from one player. So that's what you're looking for from DaRon Bland. You want him to just come back and, work him into it. I don't think he would be touching the field if he wasn't ready to go like John Legend, but I need him to go out there and make some turnovers for this defense because it just hasn't been enough of them this year.
No doubt about it, and that could be the added emphasis on this side of the football, except you're missing one of your other guys on the opposite sideline. Trayvon Diggs and Kalen Carson, for that matter, two guys that have started at the cornerback spot throughout the year, both of which are out today, including a couple of offensive linemen as well. Both Zach Martin and Tyler Smith are both inactive, a starter at the tight end position. Jake Ferguson is out, Deuce Vaughn is out, and then Tyrus Wheat, who's kind of been on and off the injury report throughout the year as well. He is out of the fold. Lots to talk about in the inactive list. Let's go out to Northwest Stadium and Landover and catch up with Nick Eatman. Nick, let's start with Trayvon Diggs. This was news that was broken earlier in the week. Out for this game. How big of a loss is that on the defensive side of the ball?
Well, it just seems like a tag team match. You've been waiting for one guy to tag the other guy, and then here they are. You wanted to see both of them on the field at the same time, DaRon Bland and Trayvon Diggs, how they can help each other out. And so when Bland was having all that success last year, at least he had Stephon Gilmore on the other side who did a pretty nice job. And so I think what you're missing is the opportunity to have two playmaking cornerbacks out there that the quarterbacks have to be careful when they throw the ball their way. So, we'll see what Bland's going to be able to bring, but not having Diggs there, that was a big that's another big setback there.
No doubt about it. And, of course, if you add in Jordan Lewis into the fold, who is back today, who did not play last week, those three, DaRon Bland, Jordan Lewis, and Trayvon Diggs have not started together on the outside in a game just yet. But let's talk about the offensive line. What is the state of the offensive line for the Cowboys? No Zach Martin. That was known before the trip. He did not travel with the team to Landover, Maryland. But what about Tyler Smith? What's happening up front for the Cowboys?
Well, it looks like just your normal preseason game is what it kind of looks like out here with T.J. Bass and Brock Hoffman are going to be playing at the guard spots with Tyler Smith not playing, and of course Zach Martin not as well. And so I think the thought process is the Giants game that's coming up in 4 days, just the short week. You have some guys, maybe they could play, maybe they could kind of gut through it here, but to ask them to come back in 4 days, probably not likely. So give them a little bit of rest, knowing that there's a short week for most of the team, but not necessarily for all of them. But that was probably the mindset on some of these players that aren't going to be playing, and I think Tyler Smith is one of them.
Another long list of injuries, and even on a week where the Cowboys get some guys back, they lose some more due to injury. Thank you very much, Nick Eatman, on the sidelines in Landover, Maryland. When we come back here on Cowboys Pregame Live, we will take a look at Dan Quinn in Washington. How much of an impact has he already had on that organization, and how do the Cowboys end some of that excitement around DQ in D.C.?
This segment was brought to you by Ashley, the official furniture store of the Dallas Cowboys.
How do you approach this going up against DQ, given the relationship you had with him, his importance to you?
Oh, man, I would say, me and Q still talk to this day. He shoots me up texts every week or two, more frequently, recently, maybe trying to get in my head a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But no, he actually helped me get some tickets to the game, too, for my family. So that goes to show you what type of coach DQ is and type of players coach he is, regardless of where you at, whether you're playing for him and things like that. He's always about his guys, and that's my guy. So, it's going to be fun playing against him. I know he's going to have them rallied up. He's probably going to say it's Shark Week. It's fight night. We got to go to round 12. We got to knock him out. Rivalry game. I know his old spiel, but, I'm Tommy Jones tonight. That's how I'm looking at it. I'm Floyd this week, so it's going to be a fun game.
Closed captioning is brought to you by the Texas Lottery. Cowboys scratch tickets from the Texas Lottery are here. Play today.
What do you want to see from that team by the end of the first season?
I would say, one, it's a cool question, Liam. I would say I want to make sure, above all things, that our identity takes place about how we play football. And that when people watch us play, they know what Commanders football looks like.
That identity has been built. That culture has been changed. Dan Quinn with 7 wins, 4 losses to begin his first season as head coach with the Washington Commanders has taken charge of a franchise that hasn't seen a lot of success, at least consistent success, over the last couple of years. Guys, you've all been around Dan Quinn. We've all gotten to know him during his 3 seasons as defensive coordinator here in Dallas. I'll start with you, Isaiah. How has he changed the culture with the Washington Commanders?
It's fun. It's fun. It's very rare that you find a team and a coach that players want to go to and have fun in the NFL. It's most of the time, guys just want to get their check. And they just call it what it is. Guys want to get their check and they want to get their ring. And they want to go on and drive off into the sunset. Not when DQ is your coach. When DQ is your coach, you wake up in the morning and you're anxious to get to the facility because you can't wait to go be with your team. You can't wait to go see what coach is going to talk about. You can't wait to laugh with your guys and have this camaraderie and then go out there and do the thing that you wanted to do since you were a little kid, which is play pro ball and run around and fly around and play carefree. That's what he allows for you to do. He creates such an environment and changes the culture everywhere he goes. It's been evident every step of the way. When he was in Atlanta, when he came to Dallas, and now all of a sudden he's in Washington.
Yeah, you're 1,000% right, Isaiah, when you talk about Dan Quinn. This guy has come into Washington, and he's become a culture changer out there. If we're being honest here, when you look at the Commanders team, this is a team that's been left for dead. You know, all the preseason polls, everything at the beginning of the season had this team picked dead last. This guy comes into the organization, changes the culture, brings a couple pieces with him, the Bobby Wagners of the world, the guys from the Dallas Cowboys, helps change that culture, and you get these players out there wanting to run through a brick wall for this guy, and that's exactly why they sit at 7-4 right now.
And they're currently second in the NFC East standings picture behind the Philadelphia Eagles. Of course, in front of the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants. The Cowboys and Giants will meet next week on Thanksgiving, just in 4 days from now. So with this being said, and Nate, you've been a part of some heated rivalries. What does this current Washington Commanders team do best?
Man, they just rush the passer. They get after the passer. That's why the Cowboys today got to make sure they try to control time possession, because you do not want Dan Quinn coming after Cooper Rush or Trey Lance, because if he does, it can be a disaster.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of what you said a little bit, when they talk about rushing the passer, you talking about the games they play up front. And that's what worries me with this matchup with the Dallas Cowboys. You got a lot of young offensive linemen out there. You lost your veteran guy, Zach Martin, your best offensive player, offensive lineman. Tyler Smith is not going to play as well. So those games and those stunts and those guys that run those games and stunts for the Washington Commanders are going to be a huge deal for this offensive line to deal with this afternoon.
Well, you guys went defense. I'm going to go offense. These guys' offense, they don't make mistakes. You have a young quarterback in Jaden Daniels who takes care of the ball. You have a two-headed monster at the running back position in Brian Robinson Jr. and Austin Eckler. These guys spread it out. They don't allow for you to commit to the run nor the pass. The offensive coordinator is doing an amazing job of putting guys in position to do what they do best. And that's what you're looking to see from the Dallas Cowboys. They just happen to be doing it best right now.
No doubt about it, and they're getting better at that pass rush standpoint. That's something that was a calling card for Dan Quinn during his time at Dallas and here with the Cowboys, was that pass rush. They were almost last in the NFL. They were 29th in pass rush in the first 5 weeks of the year. Since then, they are third in terms of pass rush. Here are some Cowboys and Commanders all-time connection. Look at Deion Sanders.
Hey.
You got Babe Laufenberg in there, who, of course, is on the Cowboys radio broadcast team. One name that I don't see up there was Nate Newton. Why aren't you up there?
They released me the last cut. I made you pay for it.
Yes,
he did.
Definitely did.
Yes.
There were plenty of Cowboys connections in this matchup as well. 5 players, 5 coaches that were once with the Cowboys, 7 of which were on the team last year. So plenty of recent Cowboys connections as well. When we come back, we're going to dive into the tight end position for the Cowboys. Brevin Spann-Ford stepped up big time last week for the Cowboys in replacement of Jake Ferguson. They're going to need him again this week. We'll talk to Nicole Hutchison when we come back.
To watch more Dallas Cowboys content on your connected TV, download the Cowboys Now app on Amazon Fire, Roku, and Apple TV.
What do you think the team needs to get back into the
we just got to all play together, stay rooted, stay with each other, and, just do what we got to do.
Think back to when you went down with the injury, how good did you feel about your game? It seemed like you were really starting to turn it on.
Yeah, definitely. Just like I said, being a rookie, just getting the tone to the game. The first couple of games I was able to play. That being the first game, I felt like I would have been able to go out there and, do what I was supposed to do. It was just building the confidence, and unfortunately what happened. But, I gotta build off that confidence. I can't backtrack from that.
You're a rookie, and you got Micah Parsons in your locker room, and he's just told us a second ago that he's been challenged to be a bit more of a leader by Zim.
Mm-hmm.
How has he shown that? How have you kind of seen his, veteranship or leadership kind of take form over the course of this year?
For sure. Definitely just him just, helping coach up, doing what he can, displaying his knowledge for the game, and obviously pass rush, just trying to help all of us, including the D tackles, help them build a better pass rush.
Welcome back into Cowboys Pregame Live alongside Nicole Hutchison. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Last week when Jake Ferguson left in the first quarter due to injury and a concussion that is keeping him out this week as well, Brevin Spanford and Luke Schoonmaker stepped up in a big way. As I welcome in Nicole Hutchison for the first time, you got the chance to catch up with Brevin this week.
Yeah, well, this is around the time where you want to start catching up with these rookies to see how they're coming along. And he had said that, it hasn't been easy because when you think back to the time that he spent in Minnesota, they were a run-heavy team. So now he's having to adjust to a new system. This team, the Dallas Cowboys, are still trying to find their identity in the run game, the passing game as a tight end. You're having to really do a little bit more. So I caught up with him about the challenge of adjusting to a new system. Here's what he had to say.
I would definitely say a lot of things are still similar. I would definitely say just learning, like I said before, just pre-snap, route adjustments, things like that. That's kind of been my biggest hurdle coming here. And the coaches have done a great job, being supportive of, the learning curve that, I have to go through. They're encouraging me every single day.
Something I remember from your college days in Minnesota is that you were a really good run blocker, one of the best in college football amongst tight ends. And that's something that I remember Lunda Wells at the beginning of training camp mentioning that, you are really good at that, but it just needs a little bit of improvement. How valuable has this first 11 weeks of NXL experience been for you in order to improve in that area?
Yeah, it's been amazing. Especially, coming out, starting against Myles Garrett, guys like that in this league. Every team has a beast on the edge, and edge players are tremendously affecting offenses. So making sure that your footwork is on point and that's all tied in with your hand placement, and just overall knowing the offense. So that's been a huge thing for me, especially coming from college where it was kind of, you can get away with a little more, but you got to be on your P's and Q's, obviously in the league. So
yeah, you have to be on your P's and Q's too without a guy like Jake Ferguson as well. And y'all have missed him once before. What's the mentality of this tight end room when you have that type of a presence missing?
It really started in camp. Coach Wells just kind of said to us, no matter who's in the game, the product has to stay the same. And Jake knows that, and obviously isn't the circumstance that me and Luke want to, be able to get more snaps. We love Jake and wish him the best and a quick recovery, but making sure that, we're stepping up to that bar that Jake has set for our room and that Coach Wells has set for our room as well.
Cowboys tight ends were needed to step up in a big way last week. They are needed again without Jake Ferguson here in Week 12. We could also see an encore performance from Cavante Turpin, who had 64 yards on a touchdown reception last week. How can Turpin continue his time in Dallas in a big way?
My mindset is to go out there as if, I ain't lose a step. Been putting in the work, with the training staff, strength coaches. So that's my mindset going into it is just, let's go.
And if you are cleared to go on Sunday against the Commanders, what's the challenge of having to circle back 4 days later and play on Thanksgiving?
I mean, I've been doing it for so long. It's all a part of the game now. So it's one of those things. The way I view Thursday games is Thursday practice. We practice so hard on Thursday. We try to mimic a game day. So that's where I put my mind to.
Any period of games you miss, it's going to be a natural frustration not being out on the field. Was it any more this time because this was such an unexpected thing?
Yeah, no, it's definitely frustrating. It's life, things happen, but it's more frustrating when you see a team not winning. I think that's the stem. When you go out there and win, it's one thing, but when we losing like how we've been, it stings a little harder. It makes you want to just get back as fast as you can and help as much as you can.
And watching it from the sidelines as you were recovering, from week 1 to the struggles up through last week, offensively, what are you seeing that you guys can kind of repair going forward and give some signs of life?
I think at the end of the day, it's not biting ourselves in the foot. You look at a couple of these games, we moving the ball, we get in the red zone, and it's one thing after another as far as biting ourselves in the foot. And I think if we just continue to just focus on the little details, go into those red zones, finishing some of those drives, I think we'll have a different feeling.
Cowboys Pregame Live was brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, and by SWBC Mortgage. Join the more than 120,000 customers that we've helped to find their happier way home. Visit swbcmortgage.com to find a pro today.
Wrapping up Cowboys Pregame Live, and it feels like yesterday you and I were up in the press box at SoFi Stadium in 2022 talking about turpentine as he had a kick return and a punt return against the Chargers in the preseason. Not the case anymore. Now he's turned into a legitimate weapon for the Cowboys. No longer a surprise, became a first player in Cowboys history to have 60-plus on a reception and a kick return in the same season. Does he need to get more touches this week?
Absolutely. It's all about confidence for Kevontae Turpin. This dude is really good out at the line of scrimmage in terms of getting off the ball. He's really good at running routes. He lacks in confidence in terms of catching the ball. And the only way you gain confidence is by them continuing to feed you and give you opportunities. That doesn't matter if that's at the line of scrimmage or 40 yards down the field. This dude's a playmaker. You just have to put him in position to be successful.
And the Cowboys did so last week. Little yards after the catch. That yak ability is there. That's what's going to be needed against this Washington defense. We'll see if it happens for Mike McCarthy and the Cowboys this week. That's going to do it on the TV side of things. We'll say goodbye to our friends at TXA21. Join us on DallasCowboys.com for more Cowboys Pregame Live.
Q, I loved him. I'm sure there's a lot of guys here that loved him. Obviously, haven't talked to him since the season started, but in the offseason, he still reaches out and checks in from time to time. So, Q always going to be one of the favorite guys in my book. He's one of the best coaches I had, and I still love him like, a mentor as he was here.
Scheme is different, obviously. Sims. You guys still making adjustments within that scheme?
I mean, it's the football league. There's always adjustments. Obviously you're playing different opponents every week, so there's always small adjustments, but it's not really too much or too big things that's making anything that's much different. It's just, about discipline, all it comes down to.
Fossil got emotional when you lost your boy here.
My boy Bill?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What makes Fossil connects with you guys? You talk about DQ connecting with you guys. Fossil seems to do.
Yeah. Bone's one of those guys too, man. He's a player's coach. I can probably speak on a good amount of the team that say they love him. We think he's one of the leaders of this team as well. He gets guys fired up, always comes in, smile on his face, willing to come into work and really to work guys. And, he's one of those guys that you're willing to go out there and run through a brick wall for, honestly. And I'm sure, you could talk to a lot of guys in the teams, they'll say the same thing. So we love him. I'm happy he's here. And, Bone's just a great guy all around.
I've said it once, I'll say it again. The Cowboys.com crew, this is our true fandom right here. These are true Cowboys fans, especially when the team is 3-7 and things aren't necessarily going your way. If you're still watching on DallasCowboys.com, we truly do appreciate you and the support that you show for your football team week in and week out.
I mean, regardless of what the team's record, it's still the best pregame show around.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
We've got some hardware over there to prove it.
This is facts.
Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton. I'm Kyle Yeomans with Nicole Hutchison and Nick Eatman. We'll hear from Nick Eatman and Stephen Jones coming up in a couple of minutes, but just continuing on our coverage, we talked about Dan Quinn being back in the fold as a head coach. Remember, he was in Atlanta, was really 2 quarters away from a Super Bowl championship in Atlanta, comes to Dallas as a defensive coordinator, has plenty of success over 3 seasons, now in Washington, but Dallas knows Dan Quinn, and Dan Quinn knows Dallas. Who has the advantage in that regard?
I got to go with Dan Quinn on this one. We understand that both of these teams know each other's strengths. They know each other's weaknesses out there. But when you look at it, Dan Quinn has the better roster right now. He has the better players out there, offensively, defensively, to go out there and execute the game plan. Dallas, I can't say the same. So right now, for me, Dan Quinn has the advantage in this one.
Yeah, I'm going to say right now and for this entire season, Dan Quinn has had the advantage, and not only just because of his roster and what the Dallas Cowboys have at their disposal, but also because of the fact that Dan Quinn is willing to let his guys fly around. Guys like to play for him. I don't think guys are liking to play right now in the Dallas Cowboys uniform, unfortunately, this season. Dan Quinn has his guys going out there running around and playing carefree. Also, he's out there freeing these guys up to do what they do best. You have to put your guys in position. You have to be creative enough. Dallas has been a little bit tight on the play calling this year.
Boy, you know it's hard for Big Newton to get to Washington anything. Right now, Coach Quinn has the jump. I mean, all he want to do is get you in passing situations and let those guys come at you. Armstrong, Dante Fowler.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's got the advantage right now, clearly.
He definitely does. He definitely does. And you mentioned Mike McCarthy there, and it's not a fun season when you're losing like this. And so it's not going to be fun for anybody, whether it's McCarthy or not. But let's talk about this team trying to find an identity with all of these injuries, with all of the turnover. Where is the identity going to come from for this Cowboys organization?
Yourself. I mean, at this point, when it's this bad, you have to, as a man, say, okay, what am I putting on film? Regardless if I'm coming back, on a contract or whether I'm trying to go out there and get with another team, this is my resume every single time I touch the field. And I'm not going to let another man embarrass me. So that's my matchup, right? So you have to have enough pride not only in yourself as an individual, but your pride in yourself in terms of your career, because the film doesn't lie. It doesn't matter. They don't look at you, watch your film and say, hey, oh, well, based on the circumstances. No. Film doesn't lie.
And that's as real as it gets when you talk about it. Right now, these players, and I know it sounds a little bit selfish, but you got to play for the name on the back of your jersey right now. You got to be able to put good tape out on there for the rest of the league to show, because a lot of these guys are playing on expiring contracts, 1-year deals. You don't want to put that bad tape out there going into free agency and trying to get picked up by another squad. So as selfishly as it sounds, right now you got to play for the guy on the back of your jersey and make sure you put good tape out there.
I mean, 2 professionals. We all play ball here, so it is what it is. Cowboys, you got to play individually and collectively within the scheme, but you got to do it for yourself tonight or today.
Okay, with all of that being said, how do you do that? How do you play for yourself, play for the name on the back of your jersey?
You make sure you get in early, you study film, you make sure who you're practicing against, give you good looks, and you do your thing. I mean, you get out there on the field and you let loose within the scheme of how this offense or defense is ran.
Yeah, and you got to execute the game plan. I mean, there's a game plan going out there for you, whether, defensively, offensively. You got to make sure you try to cut down on as many mistakes as possible when you get out there. You can't go out there and have blown assignments. You can't go out there and guard the wrong person or let a free pass rusher come in to get your quarterback. Make sure you execute your game plan, handle your responsibilities, and trust that the rest of your teammates will do that as well.
Does that involve trusting the game plan in the first place?
Yeah, that's what it does. It does include trusting the game plan, because you can't go out there and have hero ball or rogue ball, because that's how defenses and offenses get exposed in the end.
Yeah, you said it right there. The thing is, you can go into a game with great intentions. You can go out there gassed up and amped up in pregame warm-ups and out there for individual drills and team drills. And then when that ball kicks off, you going out there doing your job. And if the plan sucks, you throw your hands up in the air like, man, what are we doing? Like, what is all my energy, all my effort, all my safety What is that going towards right now? And that's what you're fighting as a coach when you're going out there and you're trying to compete when you're 3-7. You have to try to find a way to wrangle these guys together, which is why last week you saw the fake punt attempt. You're trying to get some kind of juice right now. If it doesn't go your way, you look real bad, right? But you're trying to get some kind of juice and give some guys some inspiration and some hope to go out there and play their best.
So you're saying they're looking for a silver lining, right?
Yeah.
Some sort of silver lining.
Spark, yeah.
Trying
Something.
to find that.
Some spark.
How about that? A silver lining for the Cowboys today. Who needs to step up in order to win this matchup? And it could be due to injuries because the Cowboys dealing with plenty on the offensive line and in the secondary injury-wise. Who has to step up, Nate, to have a win today?
The entire offensive line with time of possession of 32 minutes or more. If the offensive line steps up and play with some cohesiveness, which they've done none this year, they have a great chance of winning this game.
Can I go offensively and defensively?
Absolutely.
You want to be
Look, defensively, Parsons, he's got to be that guy.
Yep.
He's got to have a legendary performance. He's got to have one of those performances. I don't know if y'all caught the game Thursday, but Myles Garrett, their team is 2 and something.
Yeah.
He went out there and made his presence felt from the first snap all the way to the last snap. And that's exactly what Parsons has to do in this game if the Cowboys defense or this team wants a victory. And offensively, I love what those tight ends were able to do against the Texans. You talking about Schoonmaker, Brevin Spanford out there as well. They were able to make plays and show that they can win their one-on-one matchups versus linebackers, versus safety, show their target versus a zone out there. I need those guys to step up and have that same type of performance if this offense wants to be productive out there.
Well, can I get two?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going on both sides of the ball. On defense, I want DeMarvion Overshown to show up. He is the energy bus outside of Micah Parsons. He has the juice. You want to talk about somebody that plays for themselves and also the benefits the team? That is DeMarvion Overshown. He is in his own world when he's making plays. He's not gassing it up with nobody else. He celebrates by himself because he is knowing that he has to take care of his assignment. When he does, I'm going to celebrate myself. I don't need nobody else to do it for me. If my team wants to hop on, that's cool. And then offensively, Devontae Turpin, okay, you are the go juice. Have the confidence to know that you are the fastest man on the field. That alone puts you in a situation in a world of your own. So go out there, get the ball, catch the ball first, and then go make some plays.
Okay. If you've got two, then I'm going to take
Get
two.
you some.
Okay. I want one on the offensive or defensive side of the football myself, and it really starts with that offensive line. I want to see the young guys up there eating on the offensive line. No Tyler Smith, no Zach Martin. That gives guys like T.J. Bass and Brock Hoffman an opportunity to not only show out for the rest of this game, but for the future as well. If the Cowboys are really going to have an opportunity to replace a Hall of Fame caliber player like Zach Martin, they need to know what they have. They need to know if they want to spend a first-round draft pick in April on the offensive line. They want to know if they are going to have Zach Martin there in the future. I want that offensive line to play in a big way. And then on the secondary side of things, who's going to step up outside of Jordan Lewis and outside of DaRon Bland? DaRon Bland may not even play the whole game today. Right. Nate, you talked about it earlier, 25 snaps total. With that inactive list with Kalen Carson and Trayvon Diggs, that might go up to 30 or 35, but that's not necessarily a good thing for the Cowboys. Who's going to step up outside of that?
Kwamu.
Israel.
Okay. Israel, that guy, every time they've given him a chance, when the season starts, you never hear about it. All of a sudden, a couple of guys go down. He steps in, he plays well. That's who I'm looking to step up and play well.
Yeah, I'm hoping that Donovan Wilson can step up, but in order for Donovan Wilson to step up, he has to be in position to be successful. Yeah. And right now they're asking him to do something outside of what he does. He runs around and hits people. He's not a cover safety. Stop asking him to cover. You're asking safety to kick field goals at this point. That's pretty much what you're doing. Let that man be in the box, go single high safety, and let him run around and hit people. He is also an energy bust at that third level, but you're missing it this year because you wanted him to cover somebody.
Yeah, that's fast. I love what you talk about with the safeties. They got to be those head busters. They got to make sure that the ball doesn't get over top of their head. And that's exactly what Hooker and Wilson have got to do out there. But I'm with you, Nate. We talk about McQuamo. Get that guy on the outside a little bit. Look, get that length going. Let him put hands on Terry McLaurin out there. Let him show that physicality out there. Let him step up. He's been doing it all season long. Hopefully we get a little bit of McQuamo out there as well.
And with it being a rivalry matchup and a lot of animosity between the two, and a lot of these defenders are going to want to show out for Dan Quinn on the opposite side. They want to play well against Dan Quinn. Of course, this is a historic rivalry between the Cowboys and Commanders. Dallas leads the all-time series by 32 games overall, and they've won 5 of the last 6 meetings against the Commanders. They've of course, swept the Commanders in each of the last 2 seasons. You guys have all played in this rivalry before. Why is this one special, Nate Newton?
Just back in the old days when Tex Schramm used to run the team, it was the Cowboys and the Indians, and they made a big deal of it. I mean, I know they're the Commanders now. They've been lost. They've been the Admirals, too. They trying to find themselves with Dan Quinn, but you know what? It's always going to be. The NFC East is a historical division, so it's always going to be rivalries within these teams.
Yeah, and what's wild to me is when we used to go up to Washington, it used to be a home game for the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, you saw, silver and blue everywhere up there. Now that Dan Quinn has been up there, you see the culture starting to change. You see the players starting to fight a little bit more for the coach. The fans are starting to come back. So this may truly be a road game for the Dallas Cowboys, which may be a good thing because we see what their home record is so far this season.
You're
I don't know.
That's true. That's true.
This turns to a rivalry game. As soon as you're a Dallas Cowboys, you go into that Washington Commanders locker room. Have you been in that?
Man, I've been in there.
Listen, as soon as you see your locker room conditions, that's when you know this is a rivalry game. They don't care about you, Cowboys. All right, so go out there, take care of business, and when they get a new stadium, maybe it gets a little bit better.
We're 3-7.
3-7.
They are 7-4.
Yep.
Before the show, you told me I was a week behind because I had the numbers mixed up. But I promise you, if you go on their website, they have Dallas Cowboys week. They have our weeks. We 3-7. I mean, not we, but them. They 3-7. But hey, it is what it is.
Nate said, "I don't want any part of this. I don't want any part of that."
I'm gonna pick them to win.
Listen,
but
here's the thing, guys. If they're 3-7, we're not doing very well on our own side of things as well. Because if you take a look at the call your shot standings, we're in some trouble from the get-go. Here are the call your shot rules. Every week we give a bold prediction. They've been very bold throughout the year. We got to just start dialing it back because if a player has 0 or negative points, they can only bet 1 point. Well, we're pretty much all at 1 point, guys. You guys have 1. Nate's leading the way with 2. I'm still at -2. This is not going super well for the most part.
Kyle, your bar graph is trash.
Dude,
Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah, look at week 5. Whenever the Cowboys last won games, I was up there at 6.
I'm supposed to have 3.
Hasn't gone well since then.
That is wrong. I'm supposed to have 3 points. I would talk to whoever's in charge.
We're talking about the numbers being a week behind. That graphic was a week behind.
Okay, all right.
You guys are at 0.
I'm at 3
One of you
points.
got it wrong last
Hey,
week.
See this right here?
Got it wrong last week.
Yo, Dandy.
Here's your chance to step up in a big way. Here's your step to step up. Isaiah, you go first.
I'm going with Kevontae Turpin, okay? I was going to go ahead and give 2 points, but now he's trying to say I have 1 point.
You
So
got 1 point.
I have 1 point on Kevontae Turpin going 75-plus yards receiving. This dude is going to do his thing today if they give him the ball. And if they do give him the ball, you guys are going to see that Turpy speed go 23 miles per hour today.
Turpin time.
Yeah.
What you got, Nate?
Speed.
Look here. They gonna down what I'm talking about, but it's okay. The Cowboys will call 25 run plays. They've been averaging 21. So I'm going 25 for 1 point. And you owe me
That's
a
how
point.
he's in the lead.
Come on.
I'm telling you, Dandy owed me a point, man. I'm telling you.
Who's the notary around here?
Yeah, I'm telling you.
What do you got?
That's wild. I'm going 1 point that this Cowboys defense will get at least 2 takeaways. I need something. Bland's back. You know how opportunistic he is on the outside.
Yeah.
Parsons, he's going to be able to eat on that defensive line. Get your boy 2 takeaways. I need to get back up in the rankings, man. I don't like being in last place. I can't do that. Can't do it.
You should have said that
See,
the
but you're
Commander's
not in
going to throw the
last
ball 20 times. That's what you should have said.
You're not in last place.
Who's in last?
I am in last place.
Yeah, you're not even in
I
place.
am not even on the graph currently. I am at
Facts.
-3 points. This is not going well. I need to get back to even, and I'm going to do so by riding on what the Cowboys defense has been needing all year long, and that's the Marvion Overshow.
Oh,
Step
Demo.
up in a big way. I think Demo has a sack today, and he's going to take down Jaden Daniels, which is easier said than done. He doesn't get sacked a whole lot.
You just giving him 1?
Yeah, 1 sack.
Hasn't he had a sack in like
told you,
almost every game?
I'm dialing. No, he hasn't had a sack in almost
man.
every game.
I'm telling you.
I'm trying to get back.
I want my
on the
1
board.
point.
That's crazy.
1 point.
1 point.
All right, keys to the game, Barry. How did they get it done?
They got to win a turnover battle. We talked about it early on in the show. If you lose a turnover battle, you lose the game. Offensively, take care of it. Defensively, take it away.
Yeah, I think you have to score 3 touchdowns. You got to find a way. You got to score 3 touchdowns if you're the Cowboys because you know that their offense is well balanced. You've played some really well balanced teams this year. This is just another one. These guys are going to do well on defense and offense. You got to be able to combat that with some points.
30-plus carries, 32 minutes time possession, over 130 yards rushing. You got to keep DQ's defense off the field because you cannot let them get after these quarterbacks.
Yeah, so hold time of possession, establish the run, which has been easier said
and score
than
touchdowns.
done. And you got to finish drives as well. Got to finish drives. I think the Cowboys got to get off to a hot start today. That's the biggest thing because of that same reason. You cannot let Dan Quinn's defense get things rolling. That'll get started at noon on Fox. Cowboys and Commanders, a historic rivalry from out in Landover, Maryland. That's going to do it for us here on Cowboys Pregame Live. We'll be back after the game. First word, we've got game night, we've got OT. These guys are ready to talk about Cowboys Commanders, Week 12 of the NFL season. We'll see you after the game.